Welcome to the Big Motor Small Blade podcast. I am Buddy Pulley, joined of course by Chuck Folsom, lead car store reporter for frontstretch.com, and of course Seth Dolby. He's always here.
Give or take.
Yeah, give or take. Before we get started with the Bristol episode, I do want to just thank all of our new subscribers. We've gained over 100 new subscribers in just the past 28 days. And we've checked out our analytics, and a lot of you are from New Zealand and Australia. In fact, 10 to 15% of you guys. So we appreciate you guys in particular because you have brought a lot of views and a lot of eyes to our channel because we have become, I guess, the unofficial source for SVG content in America. But of course, thank you to all 350 subscribers. I think Seth and I share the same sentiment. We didn't think we'd make it this far. So thank you to everybody who has been viewing and has been watching, and subscribing and viewing and watching are the same thing. But it has allowed us to branch out into a new realm, a new discipline. And Chuck and I have started a new talk show based solely on the car store. It's called On Tour with Chuck Folsom. Check out the trailer. Since the involvement of NASCAR superstars Dale Earnhardt Jr., Kevin Harvick, Jeff Burton, and Justin Marks, the notoriety of the Cars Tour and its competitors has skyrocketed. The racing speaks for itself because it's true, grassroots, hard-nosed late model racing at its best. And we're here to bring that action to light. This is On Tour. So yeah, episode 1 of On Tour is up on the YouTube channel. We recorded it last week after the Southern National race. Chuck, talk a little bit about On Tour and what we got going on.
So yeah, speaking of not thinking we'd make it this far, definitely didn't think I'd be doing something like this. So first of all, thank you to Front Stretch for allowing us to do something like this and put out this kind of content, because without them giving us the okay and allowing us to use the footage that I get for them, this wouldn't be possible. So shout out to them. But if you like late model racing, if you like the Cars Tour, this is the show for you. We're going to break down every race. The following Thursday, shows will come out. So even if you haven't watched the Cars Tour and you liked this past Sunday's race at Bristol, I suggest you watch the Cars Tour and then come watch our show, because it'll be basically the same kind of racing all year long. Late model stock car racing is awesome. The Cars Tour is awesome. The names are getting more and more recognition with the new ownership group. So, yeah, that's about it. I'm not going to drag on forever, but yay Cars Tour and yay our new show.
That's right. And yeah, you hit the nail on the head. If you like this Bristol race, you probably love the Cars Tour. So go check that out. Give us, help us out with our new show. Anyway, let's get into Bristol. I don't know about you guys. I really don't know what to say about this, like, at all. I've watched every I've listened to every podcast. I've looked at Twitter, hours throughout today, and I have no clue. I still have no clue what to think about this race.
All right, I'll go ahead and ask you then. Did you like this race?
I don't know.
Doesn't sound like it.
I don't know. I really ask me again at the end of the show. I gotta flush this out. I'm just gonna lay it down for you guys, and we'll just get right into it.
Nothing got laid down this weekend, so someone's got to.
That's very true. But I'm just gonna put it all out there, and we're just gonna discuss, because I feel like this is gonna be the only thing we get to in this show, or else it's gonna go on for a couple hours. We use PJ1 instead of resin. We use other way around. We use resin instead of PJ1. Goodyear says it was the same tire compound. Clearly it wasn't. And the track didn't take any rubber.
All right. So about that, I think the evidence is there that it was the same tire, because in the fall, we saw the track rubbered up a lot, which means a lot of rubber was coming off of the tires and ending up on the racetrack. What we saw yesterday was a lot of tire coming off of the tires and ending up on the racetrack. The difference is it was about 15 degrees warmer in the fall than it was here. And as we've seen with Martinsville in the past, especially Martinsville specifically, and I think Dover too, these are the only other racetracks with concrete, at least concrete in the corners. And there's a threshold. There's a threshold to where it will or won't take rubber. And usually 60 degrees is below that threshold most of the time. So what we saw was there was more, or we saw the same amount of rubber coming off the tires and ending up on the racetrack. It's just the way it ended up on the racetrack was different this time. And it resulted in what we saw yesterday.
Chuck?
I think they're full of it. I don't think there's any way it was the same tire. I think.
Then how did they run last year's tires when they had to go find more of them?
That's the thing. I was trying to scroll Twitter. Not everybody used them. They most teams had that set still laying at the end of the race.
Did they? Okay.
Yeah, I know the 22 at least ran it. That dude, I think Denny, he said it on his podcast. I think he kind of hit the nail on the head. I think they were trying to use the same tire and like they screwed up the compound or something. Well, quote unquote screwed up. I guess it depends on how you feel, but I don't. Yeah, I that is the anomaly of this race. Is there's no real definitive answers to anything we saw, which is, in a broad sense, the reason I'm so skeptical and on the fence about this is because you could like the parts of the race you like, but then also we're not going to be able to duplicate this. Yeah. So it's kind of that's frustrating in a sense.
Yeah, I do not think if we change nothing and roll back here in the fall with this, I think we see a very similar race that we saw in the fall this past year. Because like I said, I'm pretty certain based off of what I've seen from Martinsville specifically, and I think even Dover, but I'm pretty sure that with the track warmer in September, it'll take rubber and it won't be like this. That's what I think.
I don't know.
So ultimately, I think. Hang on.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I think we still need to put more fucking horsepower in the car.
I mean, that's a given. Yeah. But I don't agree with the temperature 100%. I don't think that was as big of a contributing factor. But I mean, I don't know. That's just what I think. But like I think. What do you think, Chuck?
I don't know. Believe it or not, guys, I actually took notes this week.
That's crazy. That's insane.
If anybody knows anything about me, you know why. It has very much to do with where we raced at this weekend. My problem with it is that, well, first of all, I'm going to praise Goodyear later, so I'm going to kind of crap on them. 100 laps into the race, they were holding an emergency press conference, like freaking out, apologizing to the world, trying not to get arson committed on them or something. Like, just let the race play out before you bail on it and call it a complete disaster and have a meltdown in a press conference 100 laps into the race.
There was plenty of tire arson at the end of the race after the race was over.
Yeah, but and then they're like trying to find every single excuse in the book. Oh, it was the same tire. Okay, we'll probably never know if it was the same tire or not ultimately, unless somebody finds their way into the Goodyear factory and releases the documents or something.
Hey, man,
I don't know.
If you want to be a journalist so bad, Chuck.
We'll probably never know. But then, it's the resin. Well, I don't think that's true because
I'm not buying that
more
either.
When they got on the outside and when they ran in the resin. At the end of the race, the guys that made their tires last were the guys that ran in the resin. So that's a crock of shit too. So stop pulling excuses out. And I get it. Goodyear's always been in a really tough spot. And I think a lot of guys noted that after this race is because, okay, if you bring a tire like this that's for whatever reason too aggressive, you run the risk of everybody's going to crap on you. And, Goodyear can't build a tire worth of crap. But then you try and build a tire that's durable, that lasts, which is what they've done for a while now. It's just try and save their butts and build tires that last. Well, then you get a crappy tire like we've had at the night race the past 2 years. So they're
stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah, the box that they're trying to fit into is very small. And I personally think it was a different tire. And I applaud them for it. And even if it wasn't a different tire, okay, if it wasn't a different tire, then I don't know what to say because I can't explain it. If it was a different tire, accident or not, I applaud them for it because it was a bigger swing at anything to do with the racing than NASCAR has taken in a decade. So if it's a new tire, did they go a little too far? Yes. But is it a whole lot closer to where we want to be than where we were the past 2 races on this racetrack? 100%.
Good.
I just think if it was a different tire, I think it's possible that it could have been accidentally a different tire. I don't think it was.
That's what I'm leaning towards. Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely don't think it was an on purpose different tire because everyone would have flipped shit if later they were like, oh yeah, by the way, we brought a brand new tire that we didn't test and it looked good in the sim or whatever.
There was too much panic.
Yeah. They panicked. How far in the race did they hold that press conference? Like 200 laps?
Something like that. And I don't think they were necessarily making excuses. It honestly sounded like to me, he's just like, I don't know what the hell is going on. I don't think he was really trying to make, what's his name? Greg, either way, the head exec at Goodyear. I think he shared the same sentiment as everybody else. I mean, we were all kind of in panic mode. I mean, because you asked me what I thought of this race. First 40, 50 laps, I looked over at you. I said, what the hell did they do? Because this is great. This is awesome. And then I started looking at it. And I think this was maybe after Kyle Busch kind of had his first issue of the day. And I looked at you. I said, they're cording the tires. They can't move. They can't go.
Yeah.
This sucks. But I said to you, once we came down and we're talking to Chuck, I said, I was like, this was a super speedway race. It literally was a super speedway race with the next gen. How they run around in a pack, switch the lead back and forth to, save fuel. That was exactly what they were doing. They were switching the lead back and forth. You saw Denny and Kyle run 2 lanes and just kind of back everybody up and force everybody to
save. On purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the first 2 stages, really stage and a half of this race, I was irate. This is Indy 2008. I put down in my notes during the race. And mind you, this was before, the end of the race, before things got a little bit better. I said, Goodyear has been in the rubber business for 100 years and can't even remotely get close. It's either too hard or too soft. What is going on with this? I mean, I don't know. The first part of this race was like a really attractive girl who's like not crazy at all. And then you kind of realize 3 months into it, a stage and a half into it, oh, I figured out what's going on here. This is insane. So, yeah.
Okay, so now I'm going to talk about, or I guess I'm going to go ahead and get into, so I guess you did it. So I'm going to go ahead and get into what I didn't like about this race. So that whole section where we ran 2x2 there, part of my problem is we have these statistics like there were 56 or 54 lead changes or whatever it was.
Yeah, don't even get me started with that shit.
Like, oh, that's so insane. And I'm like, yeah, but did you watch the lead changes? Like every time one happened, I wasn't like, oh shit, someone's going for the lead. I was like, oh, there goes Ty Gibbs burning his tires up for no reason.
Yeah.
Like it was kind of most of this race. And I will preface this with, I had a very fun time with this race, watching it as it happened. I had a lot of fun with it because I honestly just kind of turned my brain off and I said, I'm going to analyze this later. I'm having fun with it right now. But most of this race was kind of junk food.
Yeah.
like the racing equivalent of junk food.
It's a very good way to put it.
And again, if Goodyear did decide like, hey, let's mess with this formula a little bit and then try it, honestly, I'm fine with that, because like we've been saying for 3 years straight now, like, dude, just do it. If it fails, we're going to understand. It's okay. We'll find a middle ground. So if that is the case, I'm not upset about that. That's what I've been asking for. I literally can't complain about it. But when I have to like go on social media and hear, why don't we want to race with tire wear and it be about the drivers trying to make it last? Here's the thing. When we had old tire wear races back in the day, what you were doing was saving tire so you could run faster than everybody else later. Yesterday, we were saving tire just so it didn't cord out.
Yeah.
And you lost the tire.
There's a difference, dude. It is a fine line there. It is a fine line between the drivers weren't at the beginning of the race where we saw the peak, I feel like, craziness of it. The drivers weren't in control. It wasn't in the driver's hands. I felt like it was more of like, hang on, let's all try to figure this out because we don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And that's not fun because if you really look at it, you put it perfectly. It's junk food. And that's what super speedway racing is. And that's, I'll let you talk here in a second, Chuck. But
we see you getting antsy.
Yeah. It's just, I look at this race, and the end of this race, I thought, okay, this ended up being fine. This ended up being compelling. This ended up being, once they got a handle on it. But the beginning of this race, just there, it was all just flashy, just if you looked into it at all, it ruined it for you. Yeah. Go ahead, Chuck.
Okay, I'm trying to figure out where my stopping point's going to be because I have a lot.
Let us have it.
I have not been this excited to talk about a race in a long time.
Oh God.
God knows you like junk food, so
I first of all want to say I'm going to put this to bed right now because Buddy said while we were arguing about it during stage 2, of course you like this race, Chase. You like anything at Bristol that isn't dirt. As if I didn't shit on the past 2 night races more than anybody on the planet. They were the 2 worst races I've ever watched in my life. This race, albeit an accident and not what they meant to do, the result of it was awesome. Everything about this race is exactly what the DNA of short track racing is.
You literally just missed the entire point we just made. But all right, go ahead.
Yes, because I don't have to agree with everything you guys say. I decided that today because a lot of times I do, but I don't on this one. Did it happen for maybe the wrong reasons? Yeah, but I also don't think that with the tire structure that we have now, I don't think that the same kind of tire wear is possible that we saw in the 80s and 90s. I don't think it's possible. With the tires are so completely different, I don't think you can replicate it.
They're still radial tires.
Yes, but I've been thinking this for a long time that because of the width of the sidewall, I don't think they wear the same whatsoever. I think we've noticed this ever since they changed to the smaller sidewall tires with the next gen. They wear completely different.
I go back to my point. Goodyear's been in business for 100 years. That it's unacceptable that they can't figure out a way.
Okay, fine.
Until now, I'll put it like that.
The only reason, okay, first of all, the reasons that this race was bad in the first 2 stages had nothing to do with the race itself. It was, in a way, NASCAR. And
how do you figure?
Okay, so
I'm asking you to explain. I'm not trying to antagonize. I'm asking you to
it's
explain.
not. Okay, I need like I told you earlier, Seth. I need to actually reread my notes before I lose my train of thought because I get too excited. I don't think it's like something NASCAR purposely did that was stupid. But when they realized that they don't have enough tires, they start running 20 laps under every caution. Okay,
Yes.
so that creates a mess. Is it NASCAR's fault? Yes, but I mean, it is, but accidentally. Like they realize, oh shit, we didn't know the tires were going to fall apart, and now we don't have enough tires. So in order to make sure these guys have enough tires to get to the end, we have to waste 100 laps of this race under caution.
That's not NASCAR's fault at all. They, if anything, did everyone a favor. Which
It's
in the moment, 100%, I agree with you. We were all bitching about it.
Yeah.
But I mean,
But it was either that
they
or
had to
caution.
I'm saying that is a choice that NASCAR made that ultimately was the right one. But had they known that this was what was going to happen, there would have been more tires available, and it wouldn't have been an issue.
Well, how would they have known that there were going to be more tires?
That's what I'm saying.
You're going to need more tires.
That's what I'm saying. Is
so how is it NASCAR's fault?
What I said was it wasn't like it was. My God.
Yeah, I know. You said it wasn't like they weren't being stupid, but you still said it was NASCAR's fault.
But it was decisions that they made that were the right ones, but they ultimately made a hindrance on the race because they had to run laps out under caution.
No, that's not what hindered the race. What hindered the race was the tires blew apart. Or they didn't blow apart, but they corded like 40 laps into a run when they ran like that first run when they ran. Hang on, Chuck. That first run when they ran like normal, which was the only normal Bristol section of this race, we blew out after 30 laps. I keep saying blew out. We didn't blow out. We flattened
We ran them all the way down to the Trader Joe's bags.
Yeah. We did that in like what, 35 laps? That's the problem. That was the problem. Not NASCAR running 20 laps under caution.
It's not what I'm saying whatsoever.
Okay, that's why I'm asking you. That's why I'm saying what I'm saying. I'm asking you to. You're not explaining it very well.
I guess the parts that I didn't like about this race were decisions that NASCAR was forced to make because of the unexpected circumstances we were given. Do I like the fact that we had to run 100 laps under caution? No, we didn't literally run 100 laps under caution. We probably ran like 75 under caution or close to it. But that's what had to be done. Now, this is my biggest point. And I tried to explain this there, and I did a really bad job. I think this race, if it did not have stage breaks at lap 125 and 250, would have been incredible. Because when you have stage breaks, you are racing to lap 125. The only viable option is a one-stop strategy. And the only viable way to do it is to stretch it to 75 laps both times, somehow. So not knowing if there's going to be a yellow or not, everybody is going to ride around dog shit slow and not burn their stuff up at all because they know I have to meet number A and number B just to get to this stage break. And then they have to turn around and do it again in stage two. Basically their strategy is predetermined for them because of the stages. And then when you had a larger set of laps and it wasn't necessarily predetermined for you because you weren't racing to the exact same number as everybody else in the final stage, it kind of spread out and got better. If we were racing a 500 lap race straight up and not knowing that we had two predetermined cautions already that were just over the length of a fuel run, you would have had differing strategies and guys would have gotten caught out by yellows. NASCAR also wouldn't have been calling weak yellows if we had known this was going to happen and had enough tires and the tires weren't falling apart. Like it's on Goodyear for not bringing a tire that would last more than 40 laps. But then in that case, NASCAR calls weak cautions when they don't need to try and prevent tires from blowing out all over the place. It was a disaster in the first half of the race. But if you're racing 500 laps, that doesn't necessarily have to happen because everybody's going to have their own ideology of how to go about it. And you're going to have guys like probably the 11 and 19 that would have just gone they probably would have stopped 4 times. And then you would have guys that know they can't do that. And they'd be like,
4 times all race?
I'm trying to think. They stop once in stage 1, once in stage 2. They stop. Yeah, they could. If you save your tires well enough, you can stop 4 times in a Bristol race.
In a normal Bristol race?
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean,
so if you were racing the lap 500, you would have guys that say, okay, I'm just going to save my equipment and I'm going to try to stop 4 times like normal.
So hang on, Chuck. I feel like I've missed your point entirely. So I'm going to say something. And if I'm off base, bear with me. If we had 14 sets of tires in this race per team, do you think this would have been a great race?
I think it would have helped. I don't necessarily.
Again, I don't think I've gotten your point. So
basically,
his point
I'm trying to explain it.
I think I understand what you're saying. I think his point is that the race would have been better because it would have flowed more naturally if we wouldn't have had stage cautions.
Yes, and guys
there would have been different.
They
would have been on their own strategy, kind of how it ended up being at the end during stage 3.
Yeah, because
the only thing I'm worried about with that is if we didn't already have stage cautions, I'm worried NASCAR would have thrown comp yellows.
Yeah,
and I think that would have been worse. I think you're ultimately right, Chuck, but I do think there would have been a strong possibility of that. But
okay, hang on real quick. I think the only thing with that is, even if people are on their own strategy, you're still going to have guys who take it, take it a little too far, because pitting at Bristol still is going to cost you 2.5 laps under green. And then someone else could have a tire issue. And we know how common tire issues are. So I still think you would run into that problem of guys staying out longer than they should, simply to avoid possibly getting caught out by someone's tire problem.
Yeah.
Right. But that's a natural caution.
Yeah. I agree with that. Yeah.
So that just happens to be how the caution falls. If the caution falls when the certain guys that are on the less stop strategy are up front, then that benefits them. If they're on pit road, it doesn't benefit them.
Hang on. I don't think that's a detriment. I just think that doesn't. I don't think that changes how they race.
I don't know.
It does.
In fact, maybe they race even less.
I think it does.
I think y'all are both kind of right. I think it could have gone, dude. You know what's funny about this is our words may not explain the race very well. Our range of emotions definitely explains it well, because these are the exact type of range of emotions we had during the entire race. It was up, it was down, it was frustration, it was excitement,
confusion.
A lot of confusion.
But I guess. Because I think you're right about comp yellows. They probably would have. And that would have pissed me off even more. Because ultimately, okay, I want to re-explain. I know I'm excited and I'm rambling a little bit, but this is a good reason to be excited to talk about a race. This was insane. I think the circumstances were very unexpected. And I think
the tires or with the weather?
The product that was produced, in my opinion, was good. And it happened for the wrong reasons. Like, we accidentally stumbled into this great thing.
I'll put it like this.
If this had happened on purpose, and I think part of the reason the first half of the race sucked is because ever since we got to this new car, and all the drivers said this too, these guys have been so used to running 400 qualifying laps or 400 miles of qualifying laps of whatever, everywhere we go, that all of a sudden they couldn't do that. And half of them, especially the younger guys, were like, oh shit, I don't know what to do now. I don't know how to not burn off my stuff.
Also, hang on. Also, part of it is if you're a guy who usually runs 15th and you see, oh, shit, the leaders are running slow, I could just go up here and pass these guys. It's really hard to turn that part of your brain off and say, no, exactly. I need to sit here and save my tires.
Well, it's part of being a cup driver.
But I think ultimately,
yeah.
Sorry, buddy.
But I mean, if you're Carson Hocevar, you're barely a cup driver at this point. Like, well, you haven't been in very long.
I think
we can talk about him later.
DBC already did, and
If we have time.
I just like
this race. I'll put it. I've wrote this down. I think it might help. This race was exciting, but that doesn't necessarily mean it was good. As weird as that sounds.
I think it was
and
good.
I think it was I don't know that it was I think ultimately it was good. We got some, it was like Seth said, junk food, but I think it was more of a good example of what tire wear could create. I think
I can agree with that.
Yeah.
But I ultimately, the reason I liked it so much is because like I've said, it happened for the wrong reasons. I think we can all agree on that. Like
I'm having that's the mental block I'm having of calling this a spectacular race.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of things that happen in sports that people don't mean to happen, and then it turns out great. And just because it was an accident doesn't make it not great.
I feel like
I think, and I don't think it's because I'm sorry for cutting you off, but I want to finish my point because I'm going to lose my train of thought. I just want to say me liking this race has less to do with it being at Bristol and more to do with the style of race that it was. I literally have a show on this channel about the Cars Tour.
That's true. It's called On Tour. It's up on our YouTube page right now.
On Tour with Chuck
Come back
Folsom
next Thursday for the new. Come back next Thursday for a carbon copy of what we're talking about right now.
Hang on. A day of the week of release to be determined. Anyway, continue.
What? So this race is. I love late model stock racing, and this race was exactly what late model stock racing is. I've
never been to a late model stock race where the tires got that bad after 40 laps.
We're taking the piss. I know exactly what you're saying, Chuck. Yeah.
So like when we go to Florence every November for the 400, they not for one lap run 100% until the final 10, and they don't have 100% left in the final 10. When we go to New River this Saturday for the Cars Tour, you're going to see the exact same race that we just saw at Bristol on Sunday, if not worse. Like they are literally going to be running like in the city limit speed for 2/3 of that race at New River. And whoever saves their stuff the best is going to come out at the end. And ultimately, the guys that finished out the front are the guys that know how to do that the best because they're the guys that have been around doing it the longest. Top three guys are the three guys that have been in the series the longest and would know how to do that the best.
You're ultimately right. And the stage 3 that's why stage 3 was so much better. Is because they did get a handle on it. And your comparison to the car store is correct in a sense because, you got to save your stuff. But this was a lot more chance involved in it, yes. Especially at the beginning. I think they could. I think there is a point to be made that they could bring the same tire back, and say we for whatever reason had the same temperature, had the same issues. I think we'd see a much different race, but a lot of the same parts we liked about it. I think the guys, they would be set up for this. And they'd be able to run but I don't know. It's so much unknown. Go ahead, Seth.
I mean, the thing is, it'll be more known by the time we get there because they're definitely going to run a Bristol test at this point. So sure. I think they'll have a more of an idea of what we're going to do when we come back in the fall for sure.
Yeah. Now here's the thing that is still, I'm a bit kerfuffled on. So
lovely word.
Thank you. So a lot of the blame was put on the resin, which I don't exactly buy. And here's another reason I don't buy it, which does play into your temperature deal. We use resin at Nashville, which is also a concrete track, and we don't see this.
and it's July.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So,
I mean, we've seen, and again, I'm not an engineer. All I have is my eyeballs, and I've watched a lot of racing. But I mean, we've definitely seen rubber be hard to put down at concrete races, depending on the temperature, especially if you run it in the spring or the fall. And I will give Goodyear this. So I didn't know where exactly I was going to put this, but I will give Goodyear this. They did do a good job with tire construction in all reality, because the tires wore out the way they were supposed to, and they corded. They didn't blow out. They literally did what they were supposed to. They just did it at a significantly faster rate than anybody anticipated. Yeah. So I will give Goodyear this. They constructed a sound tire. Yeah. So there's that.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm just going through my notes. I just wanted to say, I enjoyed it so much because it had like such an old school feel to it, especially the final stage. I was honestly kind of torn on it too, until I had to think about it for 3 hours on the way home. And the more I thought about it, I was like, that was just like, it looked to me like, when you're watching it from the stands and you're not watching it on TV being like, oh, well, that guy's tire corded, that guy's tire corded. If you were ignorant to the situation, you watch it and it looks like a vintage grassroots short track race where you have guys on fresh tires flying by the guys on old tires that are hanging on for dear life. It was cool. And personally, it's way better than the two absolute shit shows that we have, like shit shows in terms of they were god awful racing.
Yes.
That we have watched the past two fall races. Those races were terrible. And I'm so scared that for some reason Goodyear is going to hit the panic button and bring the most rock hard, solid tire you have ever seen in your life to the night race. And
they're not going to
do that because NASCAR was so high on this.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, I mean, the vast majority of people have been high on it. It would have been, I genuinely think it would have been a 95 plus on the Gluck poll if Denny Hamlin didn't win.
Yeah, I agree with that. It was just so nice to see something new, like every week we watch these guys go out there and run qualifying laps, like I said earlier, for every lap of the race. And it was so refreshing to see them actually have to try not to tear their stuff up like we watched for so many years, even if it was for different reasons.
Yeah, I mean, the best part about this race was, of course, stage 3, and it was because the drivers were the key factor in it. It was who can manage the situation the best, which is what I said earlier. What makes a cup driver is how you handle a situation, and I think we've been begging for that, right? And we saw a hard day's work from every aspect of the sport as well. We saw the crew chiefs had to make strategy based on it. We saw the crews have to they had to adapt to a situation. They had to run and get tires. They had to do all these things. We saw Goodyear having to mount up new tires. We saw the spotters. I mean, God bless. I would love to hear spotter audio from this, right? Because I mean, you were literally, it was like you were in a Mario Kart race and you had one of the bullets and everybody else is standing still, and the NASCAR having to stay on their toes and and make sure that they left some integrity to the race, but also kept it reasonable, which I feel like they did a good job. And first part of this race may have been bullshit chaos, but the last part of this race, I mean, it was a preview of what I hope we can get at short track racing again, because it was absolutely a vintage NASCAR race that was compelling because for all the right reasons,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think.
So I have a.
Hang on.
Oh, sorry.
Oh no, you can go. You can go.
Well, no. What do you want to say? Because I'm going to ask a question to like.
Okay. I was going to say, so everyone, I guess I haven't actually given an opinion, a full opinion. I think this was a great race that we need to strive to. I don't want to strive to do this exact thing again. Put it that way.
Yeah.
But it was still ultimately a great race.
Strive to properly execute.
Yeah.
Yes.
Basically.
So here's my question, because I can't, like, this is all I'm going to say about my point. I stumbled through all of it because I was so excited to talk about it. I do think the first two stages of the race kind of sucked, but I told you why I think they sucked and why I think they had the potential to be just like the third stage given the proper circumstances. Now, that being said, what would you guys change about it, about like the car, the package, the tire, other than horsepower, before the night race? Would you change anything?
I would add horsepower.
Okay, we've been over that option.
So
No,
I have a comment about that.
Hang on.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
I would test for sure.
Yes, 100%.
I would test in warmer weather. And I would test resin versus PJ1. I wouldn't use PJ1, but I would like to see the difference. But I don't necessarily think I would change the tire. Or they need to figure out what went on with the tire and determine whether they need to change it. And if it was the same compound as they used in the fall, then they know they need to make a softer compound. Because you have two extreme examples of the same tire, allegedly, right? In the fall of last year, in the spring of this year. So we need to see a test, and if the tires are different than what they were in the fall, we need to keep the same tire. If they are not different than they were in the fall, we need to see, like I said, we need to see an extensive test to make sure that we can have tires that wear better than they did last fall.
Yeah, they usually don't do like breakdowns after a test. I really want to see like a full breakdown from Goodyear after this test. I'm really curious what the because I'm sure they'll test it with resin and PJ1 just to see the difference. If PJ1's like the activating thing that lays rubber down, I'm really curious. That seems like it wouldn't be the case, but I mean, who the hell knows anymore?
Yeah.
I think I'm right with Buddy, or I'm with Buddy. If this was the same tire, which I do kind of think it was, we have to come back with a softer tire.
Yeah.
Or we can come back with the same tire and more horsepower, but Chuck said that's not an option. So
because they're not going to do it in the middle of the year.
I know. Stop, Chuck. It's going to happen at Wilkesboro.
I should do it at Wilkesboro, but that's a different episode.
They should do it at Wilkesboro, but they'll be like, it's already too fast at Wilkesboro. Anyway, the question keeps getting brought up. That actually good transition. The question keeps getting brought up. Should we bring this tire to Wilkesboro? Should we bring it to Martinsville? Should we bring it to Richmond? I think it's worth trying. We need to figure out if it was a different compound. Yeah,
before
100%.
we do it. Because
well, even then, it'll still rubber. Like no matter what at a asphalt track, it will rubber in. So no matter what, it will be it won't be quite this extreme.
And if that's the case, then no, we don't need to bring it.
No, I mean, I pretty much agree. I think ultimately we still need to go toward a softer tire. And if we're looking at running a concrete race that's not going to rubber in, then I guess we got to go to a freaking harder tire. But whenever they do, well, honestly, I wish they could do it this week so it's similar conditions. I would love to see the difference between. Huh?
It's gonna be like 20 degrees colder this week.
Okay. I mean, like I said, concrete has a threshold, so it's under the threshold. It's fine. I would love to see just to see what the difference is between this tire and the damp tire. I'm curious. It almost seems like the damp tire would have held up better. Like, I wonder what would have happened if we'd have blown through like all 9 sets or 10 sets after they grabbed another one, sets of tires. I wonder if they'd have just said, hey, you guys want to try these?
Dude, I wonder. I really wonder. Yeah. I mean,
Like,
So
I mean, if it was either that or call the race short, then I guess they could have tried it. I don't know.
So I have a question. I'm going to answer my own question, but first I want to ask you guys. When it comes to bringing a tire compound to a racetrack, and specifically the other short tracks, do you treat Martinsville as a concrete race?
Yes.
yeah.
Okay.
Like
That's what I thought, because the
only part of it that won't, the only thing is under braking, you're hitting the transition. So that's the only part of it, but you need it to rubber up on the concrete. So you kind of got to, I guess for a tire compound, you kind of got to treat it like that.
Okay. That's what I was thinking. So to answer my own question, I would want to know the results of the test. If I honestly think for the fall, because it's going to be hotter, we all know that. I think you bring the same tire, because I genuinely think if it had rubbered up yesterday, wouldn't have been a problem, and we would have had a great race with tire wear. I think if it had laid just a little bit of rubber, like any more than it did.
Yeah. Okay. Then yeah.
So
I've seen this
amount of tire wear.
I kind of like
rubber.
looked around for people explaining why they didn't like the race. And a lot of what I saw was there's a group of people, and you all know I would 1,000% disagree with them, but there's a group of people that don't like the fact that they aren't going as fast as they can because they're going slower to save tires. You know what fixes that? Make the tire like 5% harder and give them 1,000 horsepower, and they're going to wear the tire the same amount, if not more, and go faster. That's why I said horsepower is not an option, because we all know horsepower would fix it. So I really don't want them. What I really don't want them to do is be like, oh, see, look at this, guys. We don't need more horsepower to have a great race, and then put it off another 2 years. So
if the fall race does kind of what I think it will, I mean, assuming major sweeping changes to the tire compound, then I think we'll be kind of back in the same boat at the end of September. As far as, what do we do with Bristol? Well, we know what to do with Bristol, but you're all being stubborn about it. So
yeah.
I do want to say this. Me personally, I'm going to speak for y'all, but at Daytona, I'm a little bit hypocritical, but I'm a little bit not. Because at Daytona, I said I didn't mind the fuel saving because they're doing what they need to do to get to put themselves in position at the end of the race to win. Whereas here, I was a little bit negative about them doing basically the same thing, interchange fuel with tires. But like I said, it was more of a game of chance and not exactly the plan going in. Also, this is a little jab at y'all, because Phoenix was a decent race, right? It was decent. They NASCAR stumbled. What y'all stumbled upon a better package, because they didn't really do too extensive of a test to get the product that we saw at Phoenix, which was a good chunk better than it had been. Y'all didn't want to give NASCAR credit and y'all called it an accident. And then Chuck, you in particular, not so much you, Seth, you want to still give NASCAR zero. Wait, what am I trying to say here? You want to call this a great race, but it's the same circumstances of an accident happening. If you know what I'm saying.
Because this race was better than Phoenix, and both races were accidents.
It was a lot better than Phoenix, though.
I know it was better than Phoenix.
I'm okay with that. I thought I don't want to give NASCAR credit because they stumbled into an accident, and it was a better race. And I'm not giving NASCAR credit for this because they stumbled into an accident and it was a fantastic race. I'm not, if the only person I'm really giving credit is Goodyear, if they brought a new tire. And that's not an accident. They brought a new tire.
Well, it sounds like it would have been an accident. And I still don't think they brought a new tire.
If it was an accident, then whatever, screw them. It was a great race and it was an accident. If it wasn't an accident and they actually took a swing at it, then kudos to them.
Either way, my point was you thought Phoenix sucked, and because NASCAR accidentally made it better,
okay,
and then we accidentally make Bristol better, and it's a banger.
Hang on. The problem, I think the problem is fundamentally what we did in both of these races is make the track run more like it should, like it does. Not it should, but it does historically. So when you make Phoenix run like Phoenix, it's still Phoenix. When you make Bristol run more like Bristol, it's Bristol, baby. That's the difference, ultimately.
Yeah, you're smarter than jeez. See, I can't put it into words. You're smarter than me.
But no, it is a fair point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ultimately, the problem is we don't know if there was a saboteur or not at Goodyear. That's I guess
that's what we need to know. Like
I said, man, there's a whole lot of confusion and emotion and just just all of that combined. We don't know. I don't know what to say. Get into actually stuff that happened in the race, or just the race itself. I guess this didn't even happen in the race. Kyle Larson getting a ton of heat for just casually saying he wouldn't want to do this again, which, again, if you look into the race too much, or if you look into the race enough, I wouldn't want to do this again.
Yeah.
So why
not
is
on
that
accident, at least?
Now, my point being, why was that okay? But Ryan Blaney can just absolutely put this race on blast and no one says a thing.
Because he followed it up with the whole "don't talk to me about Ross Chastain," and that's the only part anyone can think about. If he'd ended it with "I hate it," or his rant about this race, it might have been talked about more. But it ended with "don't fucking ask me questions about Ross anymore," and then walking away. That's why no one's talking about that.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Just go ahead.
Oh, and also, like, it's not like it's just those two said anything. Also, and it's not like Kyle's comments were even the strongest out of anybody. Yes, okay, so I wore the Kyle Larson hat today, and I did this. So I wasn't even going to, but I did this because I knew once I started defending him a little bit. Kyle does not always say the right thing. Everybody on the entire NASCAR world knows this. And
oh yeah, he doesn't. Sorry, I just caught that.
Yeah. But this might be the biggest nothing burger controversy to ever happen about Kyle Larson. Cause like he led before that, like 2 sentences before that, he said, "I had fun."
Yeah.
Like, did we just ignore that part? I don't know, dude. I don't get it.
Yeah. I mean, my main point was Ryan Blaney. Dude, he's a head case. Like, straight up a head case. Like, I mean, I don't remember who I was talking to, but like, he's a champion of the sport, and we've talked about this before too. But how do I put this?
Doesn't carry himself like a champion of the sport.
He doesn't carry himself like a champion of the sport, and he doesn't in any way, really. I mean, okay, no, he does he's a good representative, but
I can tell you why that is.
What?
Oh, I mean, because like he stumbled into it ass backwards.
I mean, yes. I mean, we know that. It's just, I don't know. Like the whole Ross deal, I mean, Chuck, you think that Ryan tried to right hook Ross? I don't know if I believe that, but like,
I think he did. I thought. Well, look, you said you were going to overlay it, so if you are going to, y'all can decide for yourselves. I think he tried to right hook him, and the reason I think so is because you have to look at it at a case by case basis when it happens bang bang like that, and it's not clear. If we were talking about Denny Hamlin, a guy that's been right hooked and knows that that's not okay, I'd say, yeah, Denny probably didn't do that. Even though Denny is not afraid to rough somebody up, he'll do it in the right way. We're talking about one of the biggest hotheads in the sport, and everybody knows that. Would you really put it past Ryan Blaney to lose it?
Hang on. Ryan Blaney is a hothead. He's a head case. He's whatever. When has he gone around and just flat out wrecked people, though?
Yeah, I don't. That's why I can't get behind it.
He's also never really had a guy that he was like.
And he just got rooted up off the bottom. You can see him get loose because Ross gets underneath it, gets into him, and gets him loose.
Yes, but then to me, it looks like he catches it. To me, it looks like he catches it against the 14 and just continues to turn down the hill.
It looks to me he's in a 4-wheel drift. It's just, dude, you have a cup title, no matter the circumstances, and he doesn't. Like, what, I mean, I get it. You don't want to get screwed with, and Ross is messing with him too, but you're giving him, it's like a bully. If you don't give him anything to bully, he's gonna leave you alone. And he is so rattled by this. And whoever it was from Front Stretch that asked him that question, it was a fair question. That was a very fair question.
100% fair question.
And you
shout out to my guy Alex.
Yeah, like I just he's rubbing me the wrong way. I think that's ultimately what I'm getting at. Is he's just rubbing me the wrong way. And it's disappointing.
It's like he's taking the bait that Ross gives him every week. Like when Ross said that thing after Vegas, like, wow, Ryan actually learned how to aero block. Ryan responded to something about it on Twitter.
Yeah.
Like, let it be.
It's almost like he's leaned into this anger
asshole
he has on the radio. Yeah, it's almost like he's leaned into it. It's like, dude, that is not the way to do it. I don't
Someone
know.
told him, a wise man once said, let the hate flow through you.
Maybe that's it. Maybe you got it from there. I don't know.
Like, it really was a fair question. And as the defending champion of the sport, I just don't think that's a good look. Like, even if you don't want to, that actually quite literally goes back to what I talked about with Landon Huffman last week. A sign of a professional is giving a proper interview, even when you really do not want to.
Yeah.
If you really don't want to answer that question, that's your right to not want to answer the question.
Hang on. Go ahead.
Kyle Busch is a 2-time champion, and he's had many a non-professional interview. So if we're going to hold Ryan Blaney to this standard, we got to make sure we hold Kyle Busch to the standard too.
Most of them
we did. We just didn't have a podcast.
Yeah, I think there was fair. There's a couple of them. Sorry, buddy.
No, I mean, if you don't want to get asked Ross Chastain questions, stop getting into it with Ross Chastain. Granted, this wasn't his fault. Ross got into him for sure, but he has escalated the situation, and Ross is just if you know you can get in a guy's head, why not do it?
Well, which we've seen in the past 3 years, Ross is really good at it.
Yeah.
He's really good at getting in guys' heads. Like, I mean, dude, I thought he was in Denny Hamlin's head a couple years ago. It wasn't anything like this.
No, it wasn't.
Like, I mean, maybe Ryan Blaney is just the most easily rattled driver in the field. I think we said this after the Phoenix show.
I think we did, yeah.
And I mean, he keeps kind of just showing it. Like, it seems like he just is.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like,
I would feel differently about it if he had been asked a stupid question.
Yeah.
But like, it wasn't a stupid question, and he actually didn't even give him a chance to finish his question.
Yeah. I don't know. It's one of them deals, I guess. We got a couple more things to cover, and we've been rambling for a long time. Let's do this.
A lot to talk about in this one.
Yeah, a lot to talk about and a lot to just work through. This has been more of a therapy session than anything.
Therapy with Big Motor Small Blow.
I do have a question. I want to fit this in. We don't have to stay on it forever. What do you think the answer is to guys trying to do what Carson Hocevar did for 3 laps?
You park. I mean, that's pretty simple. You park them for 5 laps.
Okay, I was going to say that. I was going to say just park him, period.
Yeah, I mean, or that. Yeah, I mean, I don't think this was as egregious as people are making it out to be. Because look at what was going on the racetrack. One, you had a flat tire. He had a flat tire. 2, I mean, yes, he had opportunities to get down, but also look at the high rate of speed and speed differential throughout the entire field. So just to kind of point, it is Carson Hocevar. He's done this plenty of times, so it's hard to give him the benefit of the doubt. But I did want to at least play devil advocate a little bit with that. Denny Hamlin won the race. He peed himself again, and he was really a little bit too happy about that.
It's starting to get weird.
That's really the only takeaway
I didn't watch Actions Detrimental.
That's really the only takeaway I have from Denny winning the race. I mean, yes, tire management, 100%. Southern National. If you listen or if you go and watch on tour, we talk about Southern National, and this is very much a Southern National style track, and tire management is it's very important there. So Denny makes sense.
Again, the show is on tour with Chase Folsom. Yeah. It's on the Big Motor Small Blade YouTube channel. Chuck Folsom. Well, the title says Chase Folsom, but anyway. So yeah, just in case you didn't catch that the first 12 times we've said it in this episode. Yeah.
But he peed himself again. He got 2 more cucumbers thrown at him. Denny at Bristol is just a weird deal. That's really all I got to say about that.
I thought it was funny that he took victory lane pictures with the cucumber. That's pretty good.
Never mind. I'll save that for later.
Pretty good.
Other than that, I mean, I don't know, man. I think that's all I got for this one.
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, cool. I think we could sum it up. It wasn't tire management. It was a tire human resources complaint after that one. So it wouldn't be a Big Motor Small Blade podcast if we didn't do the rundown from Down Under. Expectations, Cup winner, the expectations. Win. Okay. All right. That's fair. Chuck?
Or
Xfinity?
Yes.
Top 5.
Okay, a win is a top 5, so.
That's true.
Yeah.
What about you, buddy?
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
I think as well as he's been running on ovals, I think, anything short of a top 2 or 3, judging by the speed of the 16 Xfinity car, it would be a little disappointing. As far as Cup goes, I mean, I don't know. Because COTA's not a track that we have a ton of experience on, but we do have 3-4 years on it. But Shane also has laps at COTA. Yeah. So it'll be interesting because it is a little bit different animal because we'll have a different tire and a different, road course package. We're using the short track package that we used at Phoenix at COTA. So, really, I think anything short of a top 10 would be. I think it would also be disappointing because
the only reason I don't want to say win in the Xfinity car is I may for every other road course after this. I just want to see him run one because it's a little bit different than a Cup race. I'm not saying he won't adapt to it and be great, but I'm also not going to be like, all right, your first stock car race in a proper 4-speed H pattern stock car, go out there and win the damn thing against AJ Allmendinger.
I think you bring up a good point. 4-speed, yeah.
So it's not, because the
Speed, yeah.
So it's not, because the Cup car is actually a whole lot more similar to what he's used to than the Xfinity car is.
Yeah.
And when you're on an oval, you're not ever shifting it. So it actually might, in a way, put him at a slight disadvantage that his talent will overcome. So that's why I'm saying top 5 and not win.
How do rally cars shift?
I don't know.
I'm almost positive that's a sequential thing nowadays.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, but don't I guess it depends what kind of car he ran in the Rolex, because a lot of those are 4-speeds.
What year did he run Rolex?
I don't know. He's done it quite a few times.
Okay.
I think even if they were 4-speeds, though, I'm pretty sure the H pattern method was an ancient thing that NASCAR was really the only one still utilizing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't a lot. I mean, I don't know when, but a lot of those cars probably got paddle shifters at some point.
A lot of those like prototypes do.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know much about sports car racing to begin with.
So that's my only thing, is like, I think his talent will overcome that little setback, and that's why I'm still going to say top 5. But I think he actually is on more level playing field on Sunday, oddly enough. I'm going to say top 5 for both.
I think you're probably true. I don't. This is
weird track.
We think we know, but it is quite a bit of an unknown for him, because there's things working against him and there's things working for him that are yet to be seen.
The only thing for Colleague, or for him and Cup, is, for me, is Colleague has been, like, I know it's a road course, but also just Colleague's been like just slow recently.
It's just how much money does Trackhouse throw at.
They did, but at least last year when it wasn't a road course, they were still solid. Like, this seems this year like they've done nothing. Like, I mean, it's a smaller sample size, I understand, but
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, I could be overreacting to that a little bit.
I think a good baseline will be the fact that AJ Allmendinger's also in a Colleague Cup car for the Cup race. So we'll get this. I think we'll have a good idea of where Colleague is at. They'll have 2 great examples of where their program's at.
Yeah.
I also think that greatly benefits Shane on Saturday to have AJ in his camp on Saturday as well. For if there's anything Shane runs into with the different shift pattern, he can just talk to AJ, because I mean,
I'm sure he's running the sim to death too.
That too.
Well, I'm sure he's done it before though. Like, I
know he's definitely done it before. It's probably just an older, like, it's something he hasn't done as much recently.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
I think if he doesn't win, it will be because AJ Allmendinger wins, barring someone taking him out or something,
the
or
Xfinity
an engine
race,
failure.
Yeah, Cup
the
is
Xfinity
a different
race.
animal. Yeah, it'll be another thing is the restarts at Coda. How he's going to navigate that is going to be is the restart zone back?
Yes,
it is. Okay.
Yeah, it's.
I still think they should flip the track.
I mean, they're not going to do that, so it doesn't matter.
Pointless. Yeah, so that's going to be. I think that will be one of his biggest obstacles. But I don't know. Like we always say, that's why we run the race. Let's get to the accolades. Sundress and Dumbass.
All right, so Sundress, I'm going to go with Goodyear. By accident or on purpose.
Such a shill.
It was a lot more interesting than it has been. So,
Chuck,
I didn't plan for this.
I'm shocked.
I'm gonna go with Josh Berry. He had a great run today. He qualified today. He qualified second, ran up front all day, led some laps, and this race played right into his favor. This is obviously he's one of the greatest short track racers in the country. And it was just good to see him have a good run, because he's had a rough start to the season. So shout out to Josh at his home track too. By the way, he went to high school with Taylor Swift, so maybe we can tune it, that he did. Dip into that market too while we're at it.
My Sundress is Rick Ware Racing, because they were like, for
it's good
whatever circumstances, they were pretty good. Like they were genuinely running in
They
the
were
top
very
10
good. Yeah.
at times. Like Kaz and Justin both had great races and great race cars. So yeah, shout out to them.
I kept thinking Kaz was a lap down and
I
realizing he
know.
wasn't.
I finally looked up at you and I was like 1-5,
Yeah.
9th.
Yeah.
All right. Dumbass. I'm gonna go with Goodyear. You hold a panic press conference at lap 200. Like, come on, man, you got to own it or something.
Well, man, look, we were all panicking. Let's be real. We were all having a rough time.
All right, I don't necessarily feel that strongly that direction. I just thought it'd be funny to have Goodyear as my sundress and dumbass. So
yeah,
I went with it. So there we go.
Chuck, do you have one?
I didn't prepare for this.
I am prepared for this. So I have a funny one and a serious one. My serious one is Ryan Blaney for whatever that post-race interview was. Dude, just answer the question. Like, don't be an ass.
You don't want to answer, be a politician about it. Don't be a dick about it.
And my other dumbass is
What's the
a guy named Buddy Pulley for screaming in my ear for 40 laps about how this race sucks. Before the last 250 laps were pretty awesome. So yeah, my ear hurt more than it already did at the racetrack for not wearing earbuds. So just for the fun of it, I'm saying Buddy.
All right, buddy, you know what you have to do now.
I've made it very aware to all you people, especially you two, that my emotions during a race are absolutely pegged to the nth degree. So to take very little of it seriously, and you can't seem to do that. So now I have 3 dumbasses. That's Chuck for just not listening to a damn word anybody says. 2.
What'd you say?
Exactly. 2 is going to be all the fans that bitched and moaned about the dirt and wanted the concrete back and didn't fucking show up. We really did not have that big of a crowd. We did not have the crowd that we had on Twitter. I'll put it like that. Like, I don't want to hear it. We didn't have... it was not noticeable from dirt to concrete. It doesn't matter the race. Just...
That's a different discussion.
Exactly. And then my third dumbass is Cucumber Man. Because Denny apparently saw him during the NASCAR race day deal. I don't buy that was the cucumber guy. I don't buy that was actually him. And even if it was him, he said, "Oh, I actually was throwing it at you so you could cut it up with the sword." Bullshit, asshole. You got in front of Denny Hamlin and couldn't tell him to your face that I threw a cucumber with a condom on it at your fucking face because I hate you.
It's not a condom. They're wrapped like that.
No, and that's why I don't think it was him, because the one from last year had a condom on it.
The one from last year definitely did.
Did it? Okay.
It had a condom. That's why I don't think it was the same guy. And so you're a dumbass for taking credit for it, and you're also a dumbass for not owning up for the fact that you were trying to... If you are him, you weren't owning up to the fact that you're throwing a cucumber at Denny Hamlin to be a dick.
So you're saying he is not him.
He is not him, and if he is him, he's that much more of a dumbass.
If he is him, he's a suck-up. That's what he really is.
Exactly.
Oh, Danny, I didn't mean to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
I will say one thing. Though. Like, there were a couple times where I leaned in to try and hear you, and you yelled so fucking loud in my ear that it hurt, and I had to back away.
You talking to me?
Buddy?
Yeah.
Well, hang on. Have you ever been to Bristol? It's kind of fucking loud.
I've had a lot of people yell at my ear at Bristol. I've never had to whoa.
I did it the whole race.
Yeah, and
I
plus
only screamed in his ear and made him back up once.
There's a what word that y'all kept using, so I was like, okay, maybe I'm not loud enough. Anyway,
fair enough.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not saying I'm offended. I'm just saying that is what happened.
Yeah. We forgot to.
I said funny dumbass, not serious dumbass. I didn't actually mean that.
Oh, I can't tell.
I quite literally
put this
said
race
it, so
on.
Maybe I'm not the one that
drop
doesn't
it, guys. Let's
Jesus
drop it.
Christ,
it's not
Chuck.
that serious.
Let's put this race on the bitching scale. We forgot to do the bitching scale last week. Phoenix was off the charts bad. Anyway, which just I don't stand behind my opinion at all, I guess. But let's put Bristol on the bitchin' scale.
All right, are you going to stand behind this opinion, or is it useless too? Come on, man. Pick a lane.
It doesn't matter. I'm going to get called an asshole and an idiot no matter what. So go ahead.
It was bitching.
It was bitching. Okay.
What, Chuck?
Do we do this on a scale of 10? I don't.
We do this on an arbitrary scale that means nothing.
We've told you this.
Oh, it was absolutely bitch.
I think it was an example of what a bitchin' race could look like. But I'm not going to call it bitchin'.
That makes it okay.
I think we've talked enough about this. Picks. For the first time this year, we have someone pick the winner. It is Chuck. He picked Denny Hamlin to win.
Hey, do I get a bonus point for picking the winner? Because I should.
Yeah, you get 3.
You get
instead of 2.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So
you get a bonus point and you get a cucumber.
And you know what to do with the cucumber.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna chop it up with a sword and eat it.
No, you're gonna shove it where the sun don't shine. What's your pick for?
No.
What's your pick for Coda?
No.
For Coda?
Yeah. That's where we're going next, Chuck.
Who am I gonna pick at Coda?
You could win over a lot of pickle.
I'm gonna take. I can win a lot of pickles right now.
Yeah, you don't even get a cucumber. You get the worst version.
I'm gonna take this jar of pickles while I have the chance, and I'm picking Shane Van Goat.
That's fair.
All right,
that's fair.
I get to go second, right? Or did you pick? Who did you pick, buddy?
Who did I pick?
Yeah,
Christopher Bell.
Okay, I definitely get to go second. And I picked Kyle Larson. He would have had a chance, and then of course they had the equipment interference penalty. But okay, so I knew whoever picked first was probably going to pick Shane Van Ginsberg, and so I picked. Let me make sure I did the. Yes, I went with AJ Allmendinger.
It's good.
Which is not a great pick because he's in a third car for Colleague. But anyway.
You only get to use them so many times.
Yeah.
There's nowhere else I really wanted to use them in the regular season anyway, so it's fine.
Daniel Suarez.
Okay.
He had the fastest car here in 2022, and they broke. And then last year he was going to win the race, and Brad Keselowski wrecked for no reason and caused a caution. So I'm going to go with Daniel Suarez. That'd be wild. Other than that, this has been the I don't know what this was. Let's be real.
It's been an episode of the Big Motor Small Blade podcast for sure.
It has definitely been that.
No rubber edition.
Yeah, no rubber. Yeah,
there's plenty of rubber. It's just out. It's just out there.
It was a game of who could go the slowest.
Out there on I-81 somewhere.
Yeah. Other than that, I guess go fuck yourselves. I don't know.